Romans 3:20, great passage. I'll read the verse and then I'll break it down for the lesson. Therefore by the deeds of the law there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin. Therefore by the deeds of the law, this is a great little phrase right here, oftentimes misunderstood by a lot of people. Most people think that the wicked, the ungodly, the really bad people who commit such atrocities like are listed over here in Romans chapter 1, which says, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. Well, what a list! Well, that really sounds like quite a list of wickedness and evil, doesn't it? A lot of sins. Well, the interesting thing here is that in Romans 3:20, oftentimes people think about the deeds which are evil and wicked. But that's not what he's talking about here in this verse. He says these are the deeds of the law. Therefore, by the deeds of the law shall no flesh be justified in his sight. Now, what kind of deeds of the law would that include? Well, the law isn't telling you thou shalt be a covenant breaker, thou shalt be a liar, thou shalt be a thief. No, the law is saying that thou shalt be kind and loving and love God first, not covet others' possessions, not commit adultery. And it's telling you all the good things to do. And what Romans 3:20 is telling us here is that therefore by the deeds of the law there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. That is, in God's eyes, no flesh is justified. No matter how good you are, no matter how many laws you obey, you will not be justified in the sight of God. Well, does that seem right? After all, why did God give us the law if He wasn't expecting us to do it, right? Well, the fact is that the law wasn't given to us to show us what we have to do in order to be justified or in order to be right with God. Now, what verse 20 tells us is, as it goes on, is that therefore by the deeds of the law there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin. A lot of people misuse the Bible. They think that the Bible was given to us so that we would have knowledge of righteousness in order to know what God expects us to be doing. But that's not what He gave us the law for. God gave us the law so that we would have the knowledge of sin and recognize, man, I'm not good enough. I've got a problem. I'm not worthy of measuring up to God's standards. I'm in big trouble here. In fact, just a couple verses down from Romans 3:20, you have Romans 3:23, a famed and well-known verse by many. It says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. That means you don't rise to that level of standard that God requires. And when you fall short of the glory of God, you haven't met the qualifications and the criteria in order to go to heaven. You're not justified with God. So let's look at Romans 3:20 again. Here it says, therefore by the deeds of the law shall no flesh be justified in his sight. Does anyone come to your mind? Well, there is a group of people that come to my mind who fit this picture perfectly, and that is the Pharisees. In fact, Jesus told the Pharisees in Matthew chapter 23 that they were hypocrites. He said, on the outside you appear whitewashed and clean and beautiful, but on the inside you're full of dead bones. You're whitewashed sepulchres, he said. You're caskets. You look clean and righteous on the outside because you're conforming to the law and doing all the deeds of the law, but on the inside you remain unchanged. He said, clean up the inside first that the outside may be clean. In other words, living by the deeds of the law is not going to justify you before God. He's looking on the inside, not just the outside. People can be fooled by what you look like on the outside. But God's looking inside. He's looking at your heart. And that poses a real dilemma for us. Because after all, if we are trying to live by the law and use the law, or I should say misuse the law, and in that we're looking at the law and saying, if I do this, that, and the other thing, God will reward me and I'll be saved. Well, you're making a big mistake. Remember, Romans 3:20 says, for by the deeds of the law shall no flesh be justified in his sight. You won't make it. Why? Because the law was given to us to give us the knowledge of sin. It was given to us to convince us that we're not good enough to be justified in God's eyes. We're not good enough to be saved. We have to find another means, another way to be saved. It's not going to be by the law. And that comes in a couple verses later where it talks about believing in Jesus Christ. Because through Jesus Christ there is life. And that's why he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Read your Bible, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.